Imagine coming home to the place where you feel safest, only to find the man your sister once loved standing there, armed with a crossbow. And before you can run, it's too late. This is not a fictional thriller. This is the real-life tragedy of Carol, Hannah, and Louise Hunt. A story of calculated murder, a family torn apart, and a man who masked his obsession with a smile until he unleashed it in the most horrific way imaginable. Welcome to True Crime Diaries. Today we take you deep into a story that stunned the United Kingdom and left a nation in shock. It involves betrayal, obsession, cold-blooded murder, and a crossbow. It's a tale that plays out like a nightmare, yet it's all too real. Join us as we unravel the events that led to the Hunt family murders, one of the most chilling true crime cases in modern Britain. Bushy, Hertfordshire, a picturesque commuter town just 16 miles from central London. Known for its charm, green spaces, and middle-class families, it was the kind of place where you'd never expect to find headlines soaked in blood. John Hunt was a familiar voice across the UK, a seasoned BBC and Sky Sports horse racing commentator.
Of course he did!
But away from the spotlight, he was a devoted husband to Carol Hunt and a loving father to 3 daughters, Hannah, Louise, and Amy. Carol Hunt, 61, was a loving mother and wife, a kind soul who raised her daughters with warmth and strength. Hannah, 28, was a beautician with her own loyal clientele. Louise, 25, ran a dog grooming business from a converted pod in the family's back garden. This tight-knit family lived in peace and unity until one man tore that peace apart. The family was deeply cherished by their neighbors and friends in the community, who held each family member in high regard and spoke warmly.
Loveliest girl I ever knew, always had a smile and very positive, hard-working, so genuinely a really sweet person.
Just a lovely girl. I just can't believe it's happened. It's, like I say, it's a thing nightmares are made of. She was the nicest, kindest, sweetest person that you could ever meet.
There might be a man on the loose there with the crossbow, so we all went upstairs and kept on popping our head like most of the neighbours there through the windows kind of thing there, so a bit of window watching.
I mean, what was that like on a normal evening, being told there's a man with a crossbow nearby?
It's unnerving.
We were all very anxious. We were on edge all night, unable to sleep until the very early hours of the morning, because we were just seeing a flood of blue lights, helicopters, sirens everywhere. We were all very scared.
It was a shock because it's a really residential area, and there isn't, nothing much ever goes on round here at all, apart from people going back and forwards to work, and back and forwards to where they go. Never saw anybody round here carrying a crossbow at all, never at all.
Kyle Clifford, 26, was a former British soldier. He was introduced to Louise through Bumble in December 2022. On the surface, their relationship seemed stable, but beneath the charm, Clifford was deeply controlling. Friends noticed the red flags early: possessiveness, gaslighting, and a refusal to take responsibility for his behavior. Louise, however, tried to make it work. She even brought Kyle into her family circle. He spent Christmas with them, joined family trips, and shared meals with Carol and John. But after an uncomfortable wedding incident in June 2024, where Kyle allegedly bragged about sleeping with other women, Louise had enough. She ended the relationship. Her final text to Kyle was, "I am sorry, Kyle, but I can't continue with what we have. I feel like it's been broken, and I can't ignore how I have been feeling or made to feel in our relationship over the course of the year. I just feel right now I owe it to myself to take some space and walk away for my own sanity and health. I never want there anything nasty between us, ever. Take care of yourself, always please. Then Kyle responded, "Thank you for the clarity, Louise, so we can both start our healing process. I love you so much, and I will for a very long time. I will always be here for you if you ever need me. Please don't hesitate. I wish you all the best, and take care of yourself too." Louise was at ease, unknown to her that Kyle didn't take the rejection well. Kyle pretended to accept it, but behind the scenes, he was plotting a massacre. Only days after the breakup, Kyle began to prepare for murder. His internet history showed searches for crossbows and duct tape. He ordered a Horizon Cornet MXT-405 compound crossbow, 6 bolts, and a cocking device. He also bought a 10-inch butcher knife, duct tape, rope, and 2 cans of petrol. On July 9th, 2024, Kyle visited a garden center with his family, hours before the attack. It would be the last ordinary act before committing an atrocity. Around 1 p.m., he left his Enfield home. Before driving to the Hunt residence, he searched for horse racing today, ensuring John Hunt would be away. He arrived at the family's bushy home with a crossbow wrapped in a white sheet and a backpack containing the knife. He knocked. Carol opened the door. He told her he was returning Louise's things. She let him in. What followed was a calculated bloodbath. Around 2:45 p.m., Kyle stabbed Carol to death. Louise, working in her grooming pod out back, remained unaware. She eventually entered the house around 4 p.m., where Kyle waited. He overpowered her. He restrained her with duct tape, tied her wrists and ankles, searched her phone, read her messages, accessed her social media. At one point, he searched, "If I unplug my smoke detector, will it go off?" He considered burning the house to hide the evidence, but changed his mind. During this time, he read her messages, accessed her Instagram, and used her phone to text John Hunt. "Hi, what time you home tonight?" John replied, "Later start than usual. Everything okay, sweetness?" But Louise never saw the message. Her killer did. Hannah returned home around 6:55 p.m. She walked into a horror scene. Her voice was captured on audio, saying, "What's wrong with you?" Moments later, she was shot with the crossbow. Despite her critical injuries, she dialed 999 and identified the attacker. "My sister's ex-boyfriend has come in, and he shot us." Paramedics arrived 12 minutes later. Carol and Louise were dead. Hannah died shortly after. Kyle Clifford had fled. If this story already has your heart racing, you're not alone. Comment your thoughts below. Should crossbows be regulated like firearms? Hit that like button if you think Louise was incredibly brave. And stay with us, because what comes next is even more shocking. The entire country was now on alert. Police helicopters swirled over North London. Armed units were dispatched. Kyle Clifford was considered.
Our overarching objective today is to protect public safety and to locate Kyle Clifford, who is wanted in connection with the murder of the 3 women in what we believe is a targeted incident. We have extensive police resources deployed to various locations in North London and also the Bushy area of Hertfordshire. The manhunt also involves armed police officers and specialist search teams responding at pace in the wake of what has been an horrific incident, involving what is currently believed to be a crossbow, but other weapons may also have been used. If members of the public see Kyle Clifford, they urge not to approach him at any point and to dial 999 immediately.
Dangerous and still armed. Thanks to Hannah's bravery, police knew who they were looking for. His home was searched. So was his brother's. Kyle's brother, Bradley Clifford, was already in prison for a separate murder. Finally, on July 10th, Kyle was spotted at Lavender Hill Cemetery near Enfield. Armed officers swarmed the area. Kyle, realizing the end had come, turned the crossbow on himself. He survived, but was paralyzed from the chest down. Investigators quickly learned that Kyle was no stranger to violence. His brother's gruesome crime had made headlines in 2017. Kyle frequently visited Bradley in prison, a fact that deeply disturbed Louise. Kyle had also been discharged from the army after just over 2 years. His superior called him wholly unsuited for military employment. He was later fired from a security guard job, allegedly for misogynistic remarks. And yet, Louise still gave him a chance. The evidence against Kyle was overwhelming. Surveillance footage, device activity, phone records. A letter he wrote to his family. In interviews, he said little. To most questions, no comment.
Do you accept, Kyle, that based on the evidence, that this is a premeditated murder of 3 people?
No comment.
Do you accept that you have meticulously planned this murder from the moment that you split up Louise?
No comment.
From the moment that she sent you that text message at the end of June, you began to plan her murder? Yes?
No comment.
On his phone, investigators discovered a letter written by Kyle and addressed to his family. It was divided into parts, each one himself as the victim.
Please don't think of this as me throwing my life away. I've lived and I am grateful for everything and everyone that's been a part of it. It is now my time to leave and be at peace, as this is what I ultimately want. I know you will all have so many questions and wish you could have done something different to prevent this. However, none of you have failed, and there is simply nothing any of you could have done. This is my decision to just be at peace. You all have to take care of each other and speak to each other, as that'll be the best thing for you all. I love you all so much. You okay, Carl, to carry on? When you wrote that note, had you already planned the murders of Louise, Carol and Hannah? You okay, Carl, to carry on? So I'm interested in the words prevent this. So tell me what you mean by prevent this. Do you mean the murders of Carol, Hannah and Louise?
Kyle eventually pleaded guilty to 3 counts of murder, possession of weapons. He denied the charge of raping Louise during the attack. That charge went to trial in March 2025. He didn't attend, he didn't testify. Medical experts testified that DNA found on Louise was recent. The defense argued it was from weeks earlier, when they were still together. But the jury took just 45 minutes to reach a verdict: guilty. The judge called Kyle a jealous man soaked in self-pity, a man who holds women in utter contempt.
That day showed you nothing but kindness in the moments before you attacked her. You raped and killed Louise, who had been as gentle as she could in ending her relationship with you after your arrogance and anger proved too much for her to stand. Then you murdered Hannah Hunt, who had done nothing to harm you save supporting her little sister. The evidence I have heard shows you to be a jealous man, soaked in self-pity, a man who holds women in utter contempt.
Was sentenced to 3 whole life orders. He will never be released. Kyle Clifford wasn't a madman. He was a jealous, entitled man who couldn't stand being told no. He planned, he purchased, he prepared, and then he acted with devastating precision. Carol Hunt opened her door and paid with her life. Louise trusted the wrong man and suffered beyond comprehension. Hannah came home to support her sister and died for it. This story is a warning about ignoring red flags, about misplaced trust, about obsession. John Hunt stood in court and delivered a heart-shattering statement. Just remember one thing. On your dying day, there will be no release for you. The screams of hell, I can hear them now. Amy Hunt, the surviving daughter, called Kyle a monster. The family's pain became the nation's pain. What would you do if someone you trusted turned into a killer? Should there be stricter background checks for Crossbow purchases? Drop your comments below. Subscribe for more raw, real, true crime stories. In the end, the Hunt family didn't just lose their loved ones, they lost the illusion of safety. Carol, the heart; Louise, the dreamer; Hannah, the fighter, all taken by a man who couldn't handle rejection. This wasn't just a crime, it was a statement about entitlement, about obsession, about how love can turn into something far more dangerous. We remember the victims, and we remember the warning signs. Until next time, stay safe, stay aware, and never ignore the red flags.